Necronomicon Spellbook by Simon. All right. What do I like about it and what do I not like? Well, um, it's good in the sense that if you want to get your hands dirty, you can get right into this book. There's not a lot of stuff that you need to do the spells. It has sigils and explanations of the 50 names of Marduk and what they do. So, um, if this is something where you just want to get right into it, it's great because I believe the only thing you need is two candles. Incense is optional, and then all you have to do is read the words. It has a a template where you read the words, you put the name of the spirit that you want to speak to, and then you put in the magical word that is associated with that spirit. And then it tells you to do some visualization and you're good. Like you have to draw the sigil as well, of course. And you can reuse the candles, but they have to be for the same type of spell. Um, you can reuse the sigils, but you can't let somebody see those sigils or see you making those sigils. So you have to keep them in a place that nobody's going to see what you have and see what you do. And supposedly, from the other reviews that I've gotten from the spell book, well, from the Necronomicon, the Simon Necronomicon, people who do this stuff get results, even though there is much debate as to whether the Simon Necronomicon is a hoax or not. And to speak on that, when you practice chaos magic is about taking any belief system or anything whatsoever and turning it into something magical. So whether it was a hoax or not, and I believe it's not because it's based off of Sumerian deities and entities that are out there. And, it talks about Crowley, how some of this is based off of Crowley's work. That's in the beginning of the Necronomicon spellbook, talks about that. Um, so it's kind of piggybacking off of some of the foundational works of magic. And so I believe the person who wrote this book actually took the time, maybe they made up their own system that was inspired by others. But the fact that many people say that it works uh, just means, do it. Like experiment. When I started, I experimented. Uh, it's a very short book. I could read this in a couple of hours if I just wanted to read it straight through. Um, the bad thing about it is it only includes the sigils of the 50 names of Marduk. Okay, they're in the regular Simon Necronomicon. There are other sigils, like the ones for Cthulhu, the ones for Pazuzu. Um, there were a couple of demonic sigils. I can't remember the other ones, but it doesn't talk about working with them. And the ones for like there's no, even in the regular Simon Necronomicon, there were no sigils for like Lamashtu or Tiamat or any of the enemies of Marduk, which I would be interested in actually tapping into because I've worked with Tiamat before. I've worked briefly with Lamashtu. There's like Abizal. Abizal is one of the Sumerian demons, and it doesn't go thoroughly into all the spirits because I guess it's not. It's meant to be Lovecraftian, even though it has like a lot of Sumerian influence. Um, so it just I don't feel, to me, the Simon Necronomicon, if it's going to be Sumerian, I feel like it could have been more extensive, but it's good for what it is, and it's good for the price it is. Like I bought the Simon Necronomicon for less than $10. I bought the Necronomicon spell book. If you don't include the shipping and handling, it was like $7 plus tax, 7.19 or something weird like that on Amazon. Um, for the Gates of the Necronomicon, which I have not gone through, but I also bought that. That was around like $8. because it was like 7 something plus tax. So it's readily available, which I like. It's based off of real magical tactics. And, other people have said that there has been success when working the spells within the Simon Necronomicon. And so I believe that with the Necronomicon spellbook, you can also get success. I've only worked with one of the sigils pertaining to Marduk. Okay. So the spirit did come through, and I didn't use the technique that's described in the book. Because I worked more with kind of like just invoking the energy, like calling on the spirit and doing a lot of dream work. So like I'll have the sigil underneath my pillow and then call upon the spirit and then go from there and get information via dream messages. Okay, so it does work. Those things are there. They do exist. They will come to you. I've worked with Cthulhu. There is, in the regular Simon Necronomicon, there's a sigil for Cthulhu. There's a sigil for Lilith, which works. There is a sigil for Pazuzu, which works. And so I do believe that the Simon Necronomicon is something to pay attention to and work through. And one of the things about the Necronomicon spellbook that I don't like is it doesn't tell you the same things that the Necronomicon does. Okay, the Necronomicon kind of gets you ready for character building because it says when you work with these spirits, these are primordial spirits that help you tap into your primordial self. So basically, you are working with aspects of yourself that have been suppressed and that are coming to the surface when you work with these particular deities. Okay, so with the Necronomicon spellbook, it's just kind of, I feel, even though there are certain entities that help you to tap into deeper parts of yourself when it comes to power or knowing about your past lives, I feel like with the Necronomicon spellbook, it kind of encourages people to, instead of work on their spirituality, just be like, hey, do the magic to get what you want out of life. And it kind of encourages people to be more superficial with the magic. Okay. But like I said, if you're somebody who just wants to get into magic, who is excited about doing it, and it talks about how the spell book allows you to tap into these energies safely. It gives you warnings and stuff like that. But I feel like nothing in life is safe and nothing worthwhile is going to be safe. Like, it's the Necronomicon, for God's sake. It's just good. It's good for beginners, where it's like if you just want to get into it and you're feeling adventurous. So I definitely recommend it. I definitely recommend the original Simon Necronomicon, which I've already done a review of. And when I go through the gates of the Necronomicon, I will definitely review that. But that's a thicker book. It's thicker than the original Simon Necronomicon. And I think what it does is it goes more in depth in explaining the book and explaining like the astrology behind it and the rituals and things like that. So it's kind of where I think there are degrees. Okay. So if you kind of don't want to get too deep into things, you read the Necronomicon spellbook and you work through that. If you're like, okay, like medium grade, where it's like you're interested in background and a little bit of lore, but also want to get into the spell casting and stuff like that, you go for the regular Necronomicon spellbook. If you want to be a freaking nerd and a super mage and stuff like that, then what you do is you get the original Necronomicon and then you work through the gates of the Necronomicon. You understand what I'm saying? So there's various grades. That's it. So, I hope everybody's magic is going well. I hope everybody is having a good fall. Um, Around this time, there's not a lot of sunlight, which is good because darkness is good for magic, specific magics. And but there's a lot of seasonal effect disorder. That's the thing. And I know like a lot of people who deal with magic um, are affected by these things. Like they know about these things, and so it's kind of like a time when you can get low, when the sunlight is low, and there's a lot of depression going on and stuff like that. And I think it's important to talk about these things because mental health goes hand in hand with magic. Like you cannot be mentally unstable or be in a negative mindset when doing magic. So definitely keep an eye on that. If there are people out there who just kind of want to talk, I feel like the magical community should support one another. There's not enough of that, um, as well as help each other advance magically. So, you know, I don't know, like if I have the time and stuff like that, like I have my email. Um, you're just going through stuff. Like you can't reach out to me, and I'll try to do my best to get back to you and talk to you. And I just want everybody who listens to my channel to be at their best and do their best. Okay, I'm not here for money. I'm here for the advancement of knowledge and the evolution of mankind. Um, those who deserve it anyway. So have a good night, day, whatever time you're listening to this. And I'll talk to you later. Zero Hakathos. Over and out.